Welcome to Breaking Bread, hosted by me, Crunk Chocolate, and I am all alone. I didn't take out a part in my script. This is when I'm normally with my show bros. Gotta love a live show. This is a show where I break verbal bread with a quote unquote enemy. Whenever Manchester City has an upcoming match, we'll be here having a conversation with a supporter of City's upcoming opponent. Shout out to all of those watching on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. Please, if you're watching on YouTube, hit those thumbs up, like that video, please. All you lovelies watching the replay, you beautiful little creeps, you lovely little souls, I appreciate you. Like those comments up, though, if you're here in real time. Let us know your thoughts. On Monday, the citizens have a chance to destroy the environment by squashing some bees for 90 minutes. Joining us to help us get to know our opponents, I have the pleasure of getting to know him thanks to FanFest Live. He repped Brentford during the PL and USA collaborative festive shows in December. Shady Gang, please give it up for the friend, the homie, Charlie Corr. Round of applause. How's it going, friend?
Good, Craig. Thanks so much for having me, man.
Of course. The pleasure is all mine. So I like to start this show, our live stream, with a softball. Let us know. I call it your footy fan origin story, aka how you became a fan of Brentford. I ask because with you being a Brentford fan, no one's really going to call you out or make fun of your choice because it's Brentford. Like, people like respect that. They're like, oh, okay, cool. But me, if I tell people randomly that I'm a Manchester City fan, they're just like, plastic, glory hunter. Which, at once upon a time, it used to hurt. It really did. It did. But, now, especially after all the success, all I say in a response is, Treble, say what? Sorry, I really have embraced the awful and evil. All the people who have hopped on that are Brentford fans, they're just like, oh, I hate this guy already. So let's bring it to you, Charlie. Tell us about your football or club origin story. How did you fall in love with Brentford?
Yeah, so Brentford, obviously, it's not the premium choice of clubs for most people. I actually became a fan of them when they were in the championship. It was I was on vacation, kind of doing a London, Paris stretch, and to cap off our trip, we wanted to see one more football match, and of course, Brentford being by Heathrow Airport, we were like, this is perfect. And I read all about their Four Corner Pubs experience at Griffin Park. So this was January 2015 when I saw them live at their stadium, and again, they were the championship clubs, so the quality of football was not the greatest. I'll be quite frank with that. But I mean, the atmosphere was fantastic. So we did the whole hit up a couple pubs before the game. The match itself, they ended up winning 1-0 against Rotherham, and then we did the other two corner pubs at the very end. It was a really festive atmosphere, and one of the I felt something different there compared to other UK games that I'd been to on that same trip. I mean, I went up to Derby County. I went to see Tottenham at White Hart Lane, which was actually pretty impressive. But Brentford was just kind of the most local kind of thing I'd ever experienced. And so at that point, they were always my sort of lower division team. And, I tried to follow them as much as I could. Here in the States, obviously, that's a little, difficult, trying to catch the occasional game on ESPN Plus. And, but of course, they made got promoted, beating Swansea in the playoff final. And when that happened, I was just like, okay, I've got to step this up a little bit more. Of course, I'm in New York City. And we ended up just, starting a supporters group here, being able to go to the Red Lion pretty much every game. They've kind of embraced us as a Premier League newbie, and so it's just kind of grown since then. I mean, it's really kind of taken a life on its own. So my backstory is a little bit more extensive than others. I mean, some people have just kind of latched on the team because, the underdog story is kind of like, they just didn't want to pick somebody, in the top 6. Yeah, which is understandable. But at least from my standpoint, I was able to experience, kind of the grind that this club had to go through to get to the top.
Yes. And no, I love the fact that you went to a match and I mean, I'm not gonna lie. If I experienced a 4-corner pub experience before a football match, I definitely would be like, you know what? This club's not that bad.
It definitely helps,
my
for sure.
that's my kind of energy. Hey Chris, I assume that's yeah. And then George, what's up? Very unique knowing some Brentford reps. What I will say, staying with the bees. So what I will say, I actually on before I came on here, I listened to Kid Cudi and RZA. It's a song. It's called Bees. It has nothing to do with anything, but just Sting. It's just a themed, and I was just like, yeah, Brentford Bees. That's just how I am. I'm very dumb. Words just make me think of a song, and I'm like, all right, I got to listen to it now. George, to answer what you said, we do pride ourselves in trying to know everyone from every club. I just recently connected with the Bournemouth, so I officially have at least one connect for every club in the Premier League right now. I need to work on the clubs that are about to get promoted because I don't think I have any of those. I would really prefer if Leeds doesn't get promoted, so because I do not like them, and I feel like I've said that in like every episode live so we've done for like a couple of weeks. Let's keep it moving to transfer talk, shall we?
Yeah.
Team really, I don't think they made some moves. They brought in Nathan Collins, Kevin Schade, Mark Flecken. These aren't necessary. Well, I know of Kevin Schade. I am actually a pretty big fan of him. And then naturally some loans and some things like that. When coming into the season with the certain moves, was there anyone that happened over your transfer period that you were excited about coming, or maybe you weren't excited about coming, or about them joining? Just let me know in general feels about the transfer moves that Brentford made.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, we can go to the heading into the season moves. I mean, the Neil Collins move, I know he had that really bad game against Wolves where he was pretty much had a part in conceding almost every goal in this 4-1 loss. Outside of that horrendous game, he was actually kind of the guy I was interested in most. I tend to latch on to defenders naturally. That's kind of my favorite position. So he seemed like at the preseason, because he came to the States and I was able to watch a couple, games with him there. He actually seemed like the most flawless in terms of picking up the style of the team, and it varies in terms of how people can adapt to Brentford, and he looked pretty good in preseason. So he was kind of sort of on my high list. You mentioned Mark Flecken. We've been patient with them. I mean, and I've been probably one of the more patient people. Just because you're coming into a new club, you got a brand new defense, and then 10 games or so into the season, you lose Rico Henry, and you're losing like half of your back line. So I was kind of one of the ones that was like, all right, I'll give him a little bit of a benefit of the doubt. And now it's kind of reached a point where, like, you've had your moments, and I will say this to Flecken's credit, he has gone to the media and actually acknowledged that he hasn't been up to par. So I applaud that, but yeah, it's a little frustrating that he's our number one, and we're just kind of screaming at the screen, just saying like, why didn't you react quicker to this? And so he's been kind of a frustrating one. So. I mean, and then that kind of leads us to this new window where now we brought in this Icelandic 22-year-old goalkeeper. I know I'm going to botch his name. It's like Valdemarsson. He has 5 caps with Iceland. So of course we brought him in. He's kind of more of a future signing. I don't think he'll be stepping right in and replacing Flecken or anything like that. But so he's I guess a guy to at least challenge Flecken in training and things like that. But yeah, this current window, transfer wise, we haven't really been the most active, and I think a lot of clubs can kind of say the same thing. It's just sort of been a mediocre window of a lot of chatter, but very little movement. And so we only brought in a few pieces. One which we might actually see against you guys on Monday. I'm hoping that Sergio Reguilon starts at left back. That I'm looking forward to that one. But yeah, I think most teams in the league are probably like, yeah, my team's ranks a 4 or 5 out of 10 in the January transfer window. Just because all the UK media are just like saying, hey, this is possible. The agents are talking, and hardly anything gets done. So
all of the moves that happened in the transfer window for Manchester City were on the women's side. They brought in 3 players deadline day. They're all under 122, one's 18, one's 19. They're all like future products. No one's really expecting anything out of any of them. So it's fun. It's interesting that nothing really happened with the men. There was like the rumor about Joshua Kimmich, but that fizzled out very quickly. I'm also not the biggest fan of the idea of Joshua Kimmich joining us. He's talented. He's a great player, like fantastic. But I personally just we need to be getting younger and bringing in some like old dude who Bayern is getting rid of specifically because he's old. Like it's just like, what do we? Yeah, let's bring him in for 2 years. Yeah, sure, that's fun, cool. I don't know. Yes, the Modelo. Work was so stressful. I immediately just stopped at the closest gas station, and I was just like, what do they got in here? And they had a nice little 4-pack of Modelo, and I was like, oh, that sounds nice. I have limes at home, so just squirt a little bit of lime juice in there, and ooh,
that works.
Well, now look at it. You see the smile on my face?
Yeah, you can't judge me that judgmental. Come on.
Oh no, well, technically, if I normally drink like Modelo or Dos Equis, I do like the Negra, the dark beer, just because I like the malt. I just really love the malt. Nice. But this is hitting the spot. I just really wanted like carbonated. I was actually craving Topo Chico, but they didn't have Topo Chico in there, so I was just like, all right, beer it is, I guess. Well, let's talk about the season so far, because Brentford kind of been going through it this season, currently sitting 4 points from grabbing their own tickets at what I have dubbed relegation station. Your club hasn't won consecutive matches since October 21st through November 4th, when they won against Burnley 3-0, 2-0 against Chelsea, and then 3-2 versus West Ham. London was looking like it could have been yours for a moment. Losing a player as important as Ivan Toney, admittedly, is tough. It was very weird because like Mans, before he came back, was doing those interviews, kind of hinting that he wanted Arsenal or someone to kind of save him. But, at least your kids are nice. How has the 23-24 season been for you? Just let me know.
Yeah, I mean, I think any Brentford fan knew that it was the first half of the season was just going to be kind of an uphill climb just with Toney and serving that suspension. So I think our expectations already were kind of lowered. Some of us were like, we're kind of going into the season. If it was a full team, I think we would be like, okay, top 10 for sure. And maybe we can make a run at Europe or whatever, that would be our optimistic approach. As soon as the Toney thing happened, I think we all realistically were like, all right, top half would be amazing, but like, let's just our expectations need to just be, at a certain level. Let's get through it. And then we can talk about that kind of stuff. But the problem with this season was like, not only was that happening, but I mean, and a lot of other clubs can say this, but the injury bug was just nonstop. Yes. And I think Brentford, we don't get talked about a lot just because we just don't have like the premium players, which is understandable. I totally get it. But like, we had Rico Henry, of course, that was just a massive injury. The Kevin Schott, Brian Mbuemo's out now. Aaron Hickey has been out at right back. So our outside backs, we haven't had a natural person for a lot of games. That's a lot to go through, and like we're still been like on the positive side of that relegation zone. So we've had some moments where like we were definitely thinking about the R word. There's no question about that. But I think for the Brentford fans that have at least been through it and have kind of known that there are going to be these really big ups and downs. I think we've been able to manage our we've kind of been able to stay on an even keel. And so I've kind of been okay, with it. I think, it's hard to see though that big run coming, even with Tony back, because now our schedule is just like crazy. We've got you guys twice in a short stretch. We've got Liverpool, we've got Arsenal, we got like everybody coming up, and so we need to get certain wins that we haven't been able to. So I guess the short of it, it's been a frustrating season. There's no question about it. And yeah, I mean, I guess I want to kind of throw a weird stat. We've been hot or mostly cold. We have not been able to get draws at all. You have to go all the way back to October 1st for our last draw. That's so 4 months we've gone through a stretch where we probably should have eked out a point here and there, and we just haven't been able to do even that. So that kind of just adds to the frustration. So I still feel confident. I mean, I still feel we'll be one of those like 13th place kind of teams or something like that, when all is said and done. But yeah, it's been a grind trying to get through this season. A lot of moments where it's like, hey, we got a go-ahead goal, but that onslaught is in the second half or something's going to happen. So it's just been a chaotic season.
And that's really what has happened to many Brentford matches. You start off great. You start off and it's just kind of going back and forth, and you might get a goal ahead and you're looking good. Like you could then score another and then pull ahead. And next thing you know, you're down by like 2. Yeah. And it's just like, what? Wait, what? I actually watched a decent amount of Brentford when if City aren't playing and there are matches on. I very much enjoy watching Brentford because of the industry of their play. It's just they play hard. It's going to be fun. It's going to be entertaining. Like you said, either they're going to win or they're going to lose. So it's going to be glorious. It's going to be entertaining. You're going to get goals. And that's why I enjoy watching them play. I'm low-key rooting for you because I'm so secure in City's setting. I want all of the teams to kind of step their game up and make things crazy and difficult for Arsenal and Liverpool and all of them, because as much as we can make them miserable, I love that. That's fine. And we'll get to it later, but even with Pep, his time against Thomas Frank and our Brentford, it really is feast or famine. You guys are, and that might be the reason why I watch you, because there is like the respect. I have just as many positive memories as I do negative memories playing Brentford. Like specifically last year before our international break, you gave me nightmares for like forever. And also Sharpie, he quoted our show and then just said, Kimmich isn't old, Crunk. I know he's not old. I am like 6 years older than him, but I'm just saying, like in the context of everything, like, there's a reason why Bayern is getting rid of him. I have no shade to the dude. He's incredibly talented. We would have him for 2-3 years. I don't want people for 2-3 years. I want long term. If we're getting them for 2-3 years, that's a Haaland. Those are the type of players that I'm like, all right, they're just so stupid talented, but also Kimmich is a great player too. I don't know. There's just there's just so much question as to you can put him here, or you can put him here, you can put him here. And I know that's like Pep's thing, but I hate it. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. But yeah, let's look at the previous 5 matches for Brentford. If you look at them,
Do we have to?
I know it's not great, but what I will say is, so I was looking at it. We'll go all the way back to. We'll try to stick with Premier League. So you lost to Aston Villa 2-1. I can't really hate on you. We lost to Aston Villa as well. That was when they were cooking.
Right.
That match was insane because you both had late red cards.
Right.
Then you lost to Wolves 4-1. Then Crystal Palace lost to them 3-1. You had the couple of FA Cup matches. You had to do a replay. It was against Wolves. So I really was expecting y'all to get smacked again. You ended up winning in the replay, so that's good. You moved on to the next round. Then you beat Nottingham Forest 3-2, and the crazy match against Tottenham. Let's start with Tottenham because that was the most recent and such a chaotic match. It was so fun. It was just, woo, it was a lot. How was experiencing that as someone who was rooting for one of those clubs? Like, I'm shocked you're still here. Did your heart, like, did you need to like breathe in a paper bag, something? Like, what was going on?
I mean, I swear to God, I mean, we've kind of gotten accustomed to it. I mean, yeah, you're talking about this whole 5-game stretch. I mean, that Villa game that you mentioned at the start of this 5-game stretch was kind of the same thing. It's just like, we put ourselves in a good position. Yeah, I mean, I think going into Tottenham, we were kind of saying, hey, if we can get a point, that's a pretty, decent result, to get the lead and be able to hang into halftime. That was a good accomplishment, but we're always cognizant of that, that stretch where we're just going to break down and just have a bad run of, poor decision making, bad movement, ball, like passing's all horrendous. It's just kind of like a cluster of things that tends to happen in a short stretch. And I mean, there's no great explanation I've got for it other than the fact that it's, we're still like we haven't been like the most cohesive together healthy team all season. And, that's going to happen, unfortunately. Also, one thing that's kind of stood out to me actually for these first 2 games, because now that we've got Tony back, of course, everybody's like focusing on that. But, the natural inclination is to do all this long ball passing because Tony's so good in the air and being able to shield off 3 defenders and still able to get the ball. And, I think we've been a little too reliant already on that. And we need to just kind of get back to what we've been able to sometimes do is, trudge through from the back, with movement and, precision. I know it doesn't happen a whole lot with us because we don't possess the ball a ton, but I would still like to see a little bit more of an effort. And I think if I'd have to look at the past couple games, that's been kind of frustrating with me, even with the win that we got against Forest. I hope that we don't become reliant on that long ball with Tony. I hope that we are smart enough to actually play from the back, and use that as a weapon, occasionally, with Tony, not being like, oh, I'm in trouble and I'm just going to chuck it up halfway down the field and hope for the best. So, yeah, I don't really have a great overall, synopsis of these past 5 games, other than it's just been, like I was saying, like a really up and down stretch with, just trying to find our form. We just haven't had a stretch, where we could look back on it and just say we look pretty solid from start to finish. We have not had one of those games in a long, long time.
The idea of either winning or losing a match, that's where management comes in. And I am aware Thomas Frank, he has great vibes, good head of hair. He seems like a solid manager. But when you either win or lose, basically almost the entire season, that I don't know. I feel like you said, there were moments where you should have earned at least a point. Yeah. And that is man management, where it's just like, hey, let's either slow things down, speed things up, kind of figure. Because I'll watch your matches, and it feels so chaotic. And I'm aware this is me coming from a team that is like possession, hold the ball, hold the ball, hold the ball. So when you watch these teams that kind of run up and down and play the long ball,
yeah,
it stresses me out. But I love that stress because I don't feel that way much for city matches. It really does kind of feel like there's an inevitability where we're going to end up pulling away. And
yeah, of course.
With the long balls, I don't know, just unless you get the ball down, you're able to make something of it. It fell right into like Tottenham. That's what they want. They want up and down. They want multiple chances so they can then come back at you. It's teams like that where you would think that Thomas would make the right adjustments and change the situation, but also maybe it's just trying to figure out how to get Tony back in, because Tony and Maupay next to each other, they're great, but I'm not really the biggest fan of Maupay. Like, I can understand, like his goals have been lucky. He's a shithouser. Yeah. He's a tough dude, but I don't know. I feel like he's better as a sub, so he can come on and be super gritty. He can come in, bring that heat, that energy, but he fizzles out very quickly if he struggles early on. Yeah. You can kind of tell that he's just like, all right, I don't care.
I will say the one thing I'm looking forward to now that Tony's back is looking at actually not just Maupay, but everybody else alongside him and seeing how they adjust. Because the one frustration with him being out was like, we wanted to see Jan Wissa like step up. Yes. And he had a couple okay games at the very, very start, and then he just was almost non-existent for a long stretch. Yeah, and now he's finding his game in the Africa Cup. I mean, he just got a PK today, and they're moving on to the semifinals. So, I mean, we're going to be without him until Liverpool. But my hope is that, once he gets back to the club, Wiss is perfect to be a complimentary, player alongside. So, I mean, I think it's just still one of those things where we just need to get not even our full roster back, but just 2 or 3 pieces here and there to kind of complete it. Because, I mean, Maupay, like, look, it's a great kind of like, returning to his club kind of story kind of thing. But like, not a lot of us were not just gung ho about it, being a great, signing or anything like that, or addition. But like you said, like he does bring a little bit of like intensity, and he could change a little bit of the complexion of a game, maybe like coming off for the last 10-15 minutes of a match. But I don't want to be seeing him start to finish, because I just don't think he completely has it in it. Wissa, on the other hand, he was kind of like our super sub for a stretch, and we've been just waiting for him to make that extra level. It didn't come, but now he's, like I said, finding his form. He'd be the perfect guy to just absolutely bloom with Tony back, and of course, the experience they have playing together. That's the thing I'm looking forward to the most, is having at least a couple pieces back, so we don't have to play Maupay as much, or play him in a different role. We'll see. I mean, we've been waiting for like that window where we're like, okay, we finally got enough guys back where we could be like, all right, it's it's a little bit closer to the team we envisioned, and we're still not anywhere there. For every good piece of news, there's always like 1 or 2 setbacks that go alongside it,
which is tough. We obviously been hit with the injury bug. We've more lost big key players than a lot of players. There have been moments where we had many players missing.
Yeah,
losing Haaland for 2 months, losing KDB for 4 or 5 months. Those are big, but also we're sitting where we're at in the table. So I don't want to like stick on that and be like, well, it's me, because again, I sound like a little pissant whining about nothing. So it's tough, because I want to be upset about things, but really, how much can he complain? You also kind of have to like trudge on. But when there are other clubs who, like, yes, with us, when KDB goes down, we still have a list of international players who can step up, or national team players who can step up. Whereas Brentford, like you said, when you guys are missing someone, it's key, it's pivotal. Like every player who is brought in, they're brought in for a very specific reason, and their intention is to play as much as possible. So when you lose that, the drop off for the next person is going to be pretty significant. And I feel for you guys. Like truly, there are many clubs in the league that I don't feel for, but for Brentford, I do.
Oh, I appreciate it. But no, you're right. I mean, it's one of those things where I think like we'll get through it. I do think there have been certain areas on the pitch where I do feel like things will improve a little bit. I think with Sergio coming in at left back and actually having a specialist at that position, I mean, that's such a very unique position. You know, you can't replace Rico Henry, but you can try to find somebody close. But we didn't have anybody close on our roster. You know, we were trying to have Gatos in there, and Yanalt would come back, and I think we had KLP the other day at left back. It was just kind of like, and that was turned into like our weakness for a couple games. Is like, you know, the far post, our defending was horrid. So, you know, having somebody, of course, I mean, we hardly seen Sergio yet. You know, I'm hopeful he brings a lot to the table. I mean, he's got experience, you know, for Spurs, Man U, Madrid. Granted, some places maybe not enough playing time, but I mean, that's a huge need that we have not had. And so to just have one key piece for that, then you can, you know, put Yanalt back into the midfield and not have to try to rely on him, you know, defending for a game or two. You know, that's been kind of the issue. It's like you're trying, you know, Thomas Frank, I mean, I applaud him like being like inventive and trying, you know, just get as much versatility out of his guys. But, you know, that can only go so far, especially in this league. So, yeah, we'll see. I mean, I'm a little optimistic, but, you know, we're still trudging. We're still trudging through.
Hey, exactly. And I feel you're safe from the relegation station. I don't think you're between Everton potentially not getting their points back, and you know, the two bottom teams are not great. So at least you just got to avoid that third spot, which you should be able to do.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah. Well, I am intrigued to hear your starting 11 prediction for this lineup. Do you think you're going to stick with, I mean, it's technically 3 at a back, but it's 3 at a back with wing backs. And do you think Frank is going to stick with the Maupay Tony combination? Do you think, because I don't know, it feels too, because when you do the five at the back, it's supposed to be for structure, but if you're just long balling everything, I don't know, I feel like you need another either facilitator or someone who could help with the second and third balls that come with the long ball game.
Yeah, I will say with the personnel that we've currently got, and the fact that, you know, we're playing a premium team like you guys, I think our usual inclination is to go with that 3-back/5-back formation. Just even though we are at home, I just feel like, and who knows? I mean, Thomas Frank's been, you know, also gone with a back 4 on, you know, some occasions too. But I feel like our roster is better designed for the back 3-5, just with, because we've got Pinnock, Ben Mee, Neil Collins as I mean, they're legit center back, you know, kind of commodities. And then, you know, Mazroslev would be on the right. Sergio, I hope it gets his first start at left. I feel like that would be our defense going into Monday. And then, like you said, I mean, I think Maupay and Tony, I mean, at the moment, that's our starting 2. Keane Lewis Potter, yeah, he shows little flashes here and there, but I just don't see him, you know, being the guy, you know, alongside, unless Thomas Frank wants to go with the, you know, a front line of 3 people, and, you know, maybe he might sneak in there, but I just don't see that happening. And then, you know, that leaves our midfield with, you know, we got Christian Norgard back, you know, our captain, Matthias Jensen, Janelt. I mean, that would be our trio in the midfield. So it would probably, compared to the Tottenham lineup, that I think that would only be like a couple changes, maybe only one change. So I don't see us making too many changes, but I do think the back three, back five combo is probably what we're going to go with against a team like you. I feel like that's kind of, the best approach to withstanding some of your pressure and like kind of getting a good feel for the game. We'll see. I don't know.
We are having Halan back. Pep has confirmed he's going to be playing against you guys. How do you feel knowing Halan is back? You are the first match that he played a little bit the last match.
Yeah.
Daku didn't really feed him. He seemed visibly annoyed that he wasn't getting the ball as often. So I do believe Daku will be benched. We will probably get a Grealish, someone who can help hold the ball more, who is more willing to distribute the ball to Halan. I believe, yeah. So I think we're gonna have Ederson. We'll do the same back line as a previous match. Barrial, Ake, Stones, Walker. I really loved Nunez right next to Rodri. He seems to be getting really comfortable in that position, very good at runs, passing in the small space. Brentford, they're going to have to try to use their physicality, their size to make things troublesome. And Nunez is very physical. Like I've learned he's tossed so many people off of him, which has been beautiful to see. We got KDB back. Still will be on the right. The left, I believe it's going to be Grealish. And then we got our boy Halan back up top. Thank goodness. Yeah. So
Yeah.
what
Good
are you
for
thinking
you.
about Halan being back? Yes. I guess, what do you think? Can Denme handle his own against Halan? Because honestly, the last match, he didn't do a bad job.
Yeah, I mean, and I think in the course of a game, it probably is sort of a, by committee thing. I mean, I'm sure Pinnock's going to have more of his share of run-ins as well. I mean, you kind of have to just play the odds, right? I mean, it's kind of one of those things where it's just like, you don't want your premium goal scorer getting goals. And like, if it means, De Bruyne sneaks in something from 27 yards, so be it. You live with that. The primary option, at least if I were going in, would be you have to stop Holland. Like that's number 1, 2, and 3 on my list. And we did a decent job last season. Granted, I don't know. I don't want to read too much into last season. I mean, we kind of just we were definitely fortunate in some regards, but yeah, I mean, you just kind of play the odds that way. I mean, everybody knows that if he's going to be close to the box, he's a massive threat and one of the best in worldwide when it comes to that. So that just has to be the focus, and then you kind of feed off of, okay, if that's going right, then maybe, and you just kind of hope for you guys to be off the mark, if it's not going to him. I mean, it's really kind of one of those situations. I don't see this matchup being one of those where, it'll be a split in possession or anything. I mean, I think we're going to be back on our heels in some instances, just weathering the storm and playing the odds and hoping for that counterattack or hoping for that set piece, corner kick, whatever. That's our MO is just kind of hoping for that and just like withstanding the pressure that which we know is going to be coming.
I'm thankful we have another match on Saturday because we are notoriously really bad before international breaks. And that's how you caught us last year. But I feel like a few of our draws this season have been losses have been right before an international break where the players are kind of thinking about, hey, let's be healthy so I can represent my country. Annoys me. We will end the show here. If you're watching, please let us know your score predictions. How do you personally feel this match is going to end up? Will Brentford win? Will City win? What are you thinking? So like I mentioned earlier in this, Brentford and Thomas Frank are one of the rare clubs that has given Manchester City trouble in their short history of playing each other. 4 matches played against Thomas Frank and the Brentford Bees, splitting wins with Pep Guardiola. 2 wins, 2 losses. Knowing this bit of information means that your club has a coin flip chance to win. That's good, right? Like you have a 50-50 chance to win.
Yeah, you
even
put
though
it
your
that way.
team
I
has
like
been
it.
struggling.
That's pretty
Yeah,
good. Yeah.
right. You're welcome. So how do you feel your club is going to do? Let me know what you think the score prediction is going to be.
So, well, first off, let me just preface it by saying this might be one of the last times I'll be able to tout the fact that we had an amazing run against you guys last season, because I think it's probably going to be one of those things where it could be 8-10 years from now, as last season might still be one of the only moments where we were able to enjoy something like that. So let me just put that out there, because it's going to be the last opportunity I probably do get to say that. So yeah, that's the only. I mean, let's face it. Going into this, we haven't gotten, like I said, we haven't gotten a draw in 4 months. So the most optimistic prediction I think I can come up with is a 2-2 draw, and it's a stretch, I think, for me to even go that way. But we do have a tendency, though, maybe not this season, but definitely last season, we had a tendency when we were playing the big teams of always stepping up, even when our roster looked depleted or we just weren't playing well, but we found something. We've been able to get wins against, the Liverpools of the world, but that was mostly last season. This has been a little bit different, but at the same time, on occasion we were able to pull something like that off. So I don't think a win, obviously, but I do think maybe we can get a 2-2 draw. So that's my prediction. I'll be more than thrilled with that.
You know how hot I will be that your first draw all season would be against us. It's just like, what? And that especially considering we are in the current run.
Yeah,
that City has every single year, where we just go win, 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 win. So if we manage to draw against y'all, what I will say is Liverpool and Arsenal play each other this weekend, and that I'm so excited about that. That's gonna be so fun. I do not trust Arsenal at all. I think they're just gonna fall on their faces.
I think
because that's just kind of what they do. But it's gonna be a fun watch. It'll be a fun watch. City 3-1 the show, bro. Sharpie. I think it's gonna be very similar. City this whole season has been clean sheet allergy FC. that is how Tom Baum phrased it. Just it doesn't really matter. We can be completely dominant for most of the match, and a 92nd minute goal we give up, and it just gives the other team a moment of, can we do this? And I hate that. I want every player and team to leave despondent, just broken inside. Oh my god, man. I know. My 2024 goal, I have 2 of them: positive, chaotic, and I'm not taking anything serious. I'm trying not to take anything seriously. So I tend to just be ridiculous. And people are just like, wow, that was very harsh. And I'm like, it's jokes. I'm joking.
A little bit. You're just joking a little bit.
There's some truth in there. Yeah, you're right. Yes, I have been admiring your very beautiful scarf wall. So Chris asks a great question.
You. Yeah.
Love the scarf wall. Favorite scarf and story.
Yeah.
Story to the scarf, I assume.
What's that?
Could you tell us which one of your scarves behind you is your favorite, or maybe even the one that you're winning?
Yeah, I just barely got this one. I kind of like the gray going into this one a little bit too. Yeah, this is kind of my new favorite one. I've gotten fortunately with the spam group that I've been it's kind of helping oversee. We've actually gotten a couple gifts here and there, and I've just kind of snagged them for myself to be, to be
No,
honest.
like I really
like
love that New York Cosmos one. That one is super cool.
Yeah, that one I got. I think when I was at the U.S. Soccer Federation, somebody was like cleaning out their desk or something, and then I snagged that one. So
Yeah,
I mean, you can't go wrong with a classic. I'm shocked
at
that it was even
all.
available, to be honest.
Yeah, right. Like, who are they? Like, how they either have to have a few of them, or they just have the worst memories towards New York
Yeah,
Cosmos, because it's
I
just
don't know.
like there's no reason for you to be giving that away.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I mean,
Before we
too
get
much
you out of
history there.
here, though. Exactly. I was gonna say, before we get you out of here, I really do want you to plug NYC Brentford, your the OSC that you helped put together.
Sure. Yeah. So, we got started basically with our fan group. Once we made the move to the Premier League, and so now I've kind of just sort of upped our game a little bit in terms of just accessibility and trying to get a hold of us to watch games if you're in New York City. We're at the Red Lion Pub in Greenwich Village, 151 Bleecker Street. We've been there from the start. The first Premier League season, we had about 10 watches, and now if it's a 9:00 a.m. Eastern time kickoff, we're there for all the games. We're there sometimes for FA Cup. We were there for preseason, as well when they were in the States. So to kind of access this, so we're on Twitter, Instagram, and now I just started a TikTok. It's the same handle for all of them. It's Brentford FC NYC. And I also have an email address that I try to respond to on a regular basis. It's just BrentfordNYC@gmail.com. People all the time are, giving me a heads up like, oh, hey, I'm in town. Are you going to have a watch party, or, what are the plans? Or, sometimes they're asking for hotel information, which I'm not the greatest at, but I am very responsive to that kind of stuff. So thanks for letting me kind of, plug all that. And we're happy with the fandom. I mean, it's kind of one of those things where it's been very organic. And, we've had a couple games where, we've had 30 plus people, one where I think we had over 40. It's, not that numbers are like the primary thing, but, it is, we're in New York City. And so it's kind of one of the, you want a good experience, and but you also want like-minded people that appreciate the team the same way. So, that's kind of the balance I've been trying to put with this fan group is, trying to make it, bigger and exciting. But at the same time, I want people to also appreciate the club for what it is, the manager for who he is, things of that nature. And, we're pretty welcoming group. And so, so it's always great to, have something like this. To get the word out. I'm so appreciative of that. So thanks for having me on for that reason as well.
Truly, thank you. Our whole thing is community, and we can't really build without the help of others. We at Shades of Blue, yes, we are a Man City show, but our aim is to slowly get beyond the Man City sphere, because we love the sport of football. So that is the aim. That is the goal. Shady Gang, please, one more time, give it up for our most dope guest. Yes.
Very nice.
Like, the match is Monday. Woo, wow, long day. The match is Monday, midday for us. I will be plugged. I'm trying to tell myself that I need to just stay home, but I've just been really craving going to a bar and just getting real drunk and screaming at the TV. But where I live, I moved to an even smaller city than I lived before.
Oh, okay.
Where the closest bar to me that has craft beer, everybody there is just like blue collar hard workers, like they all got like Carhartt and shit on, and I show up in all my like city gear, and they're just like, who is this asshole? And I'm screaming at the TV. It's great. I enjoy it. I honestly, and usually by the end of it, I get one or two people who are like helping me cheer.
But yeah, maybe they'll turn the tide a little bit. If you make it a little more regular thing, you never know.
I've tried. But yeah, it's please stay in touch. We'll be bantering back and forth hopefully on Monday. I'm very much looking forward to it. Shady Gang, we will see you Sunday morning for our Man City women who will be playing Leicester. 6:30 Central Time will be our kickoff show on FanFest Live, where we will be covering all you need to know, starting 11, player matchups, score predictions, all those beautiful things. And you know the vibes. Shady Gang, Shady Gang, Shady Gang.